Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Jerry wanted to hop on and just wish everybody in the United States a happy Thanksgiving. He says his human figured out that it's tomorrow. And so he's wishing you a happy Thanksgiving and a happy Black Friday shopping. He would be appreciating it if somebody would share some pumpkin pie. He actually really likes pastries. It's a strange little cat. But you're kind of looking kind of like ferocious there, kitty. But anyway, here we go. First day saying happy Thanksgiving. He hopes you all have a terrific celebration, even though he knows lots and lots of you are not having the Thanksgiving you normally would have because of, COVID and stuff. But he wants you to know that he's there for you. Okay, again. All right. Hang on. I will be right back. Hello. Back. I am back. Okay, so for those of you who might be new to my channel, Jerry is our three-legged, 6-year-old, part Maine Coon rescue. He is convinced he's a rock star, and most of you agree, so it seems to work out very well for him. He is about 9.5 pounds or 10 pounds. He looks like a very big boy, but he has lots and lots and lots of fur. And that's sort of what gives him, makes him him. Okay, so enough about the cat. I wanted to do a bit of a deep dive today on both McConnell and Lindsey Graham because, their elections don't pass the smell test. There's stuff going on there that just doesn't make sense. I don't know how much clarity I'm going to get, but I want to do a deep dive on them. So let's start with Mitch McConnell. Both of them have been so complacent in term or complicit in the behavior of Donald Trump and allowing him to get away with it and not say anything and not stand up to him. It's actually getting nauseating to watch. Like, he really, really is quite pathetic, and I'm sure very embarrassing for a huge number of Americans to have senators, and especially long-established senators, behave this way. So we're going to start with McConnell. So here we go. Come on down. I have a question. Okay. Oh, there he is. I guess he's going to grace us with his presence for a while. Tell me about Mitch McConnell. Tell me about Mitch McConnell. Tell me about Mitch McConnell. Okay. So, right now, Mitch McConnell is pretty much willing to do or say whatever it takes, or not do and not say, perhaps would be more accurate, whatever it takes to keep Donald happy. Because the calculation is that he desperately, desperately needs those 2 Senate races in Georgia to go his way. Because if they don't, of course, he then is not going to be leader of the Senate. And he is he's so greedy for that power, and he's so, frankly, full of himself. He feels as if the last 6 years, the last 2 with Barack Obama and the last 4 with Donald Trump, he has been able to throw his weight around to an astonishing degree. And the thing is, I mean, let's not forget when Donald Trump doesn't want to play with Mitch, or he embarrasses him, Mitch just pulls back and he says, "You're on your own." But he doesn't do anything to go forward. He doesn't push anything forward. He just stays in that place of, "I'm not going to budge." And it has been incredibly successful for him, whether any of us like it or not. It really has been incredibly successful. He has managed to cram those courts stuffed full of unqualified, for the most part, hyper conservative judges. And I have news for you. I actually don't think a lot of that is going to hold. I think as things roll forward, you're going to see those judges put under review. And some of them may very well not be able to hang on to their robes. Certainly, there's going to be some shifting dynamics within the courts, the Supreme Court, and all the way down as the next, I want to say 2, 4, 6 years unfold. So some of the damage that he has done is actually going to be able to be reversed or mitigated. But for right now, Mitch McConnell is all about winning those 2 seats in Georgia. And make no mistake, they will stoop to whatever they need to stoop to in order to accomplish what they want to accomplish. I guess the other dogs have something to say. Okay. So he has a lot of anxiety about it because he also, much like Trump, recognizes that if he doesn't hold on to that position of power, people are going to start looking into his dealings too, because his election win was a little too fast and a little too decisive, considering this is a man who has an approval rating of like something like 25% or some ridiculously low number. I mean, people hate him more than they hate Trump, but yet somehow he comfortably won re-election against Amy McGrath, who was putting up a heck of a good fight. So, you know, he's concerned that people are actually going to start looking into him and more looking into not only that election, but also looking into some of his personal business dealings, the stuff going on with his wife and the transportation department and her parents' company, or whoever's company that is that they're affiliated with. I think it's her dad's or her family's. And so he's got a lot going on, and I have to tell you, he really is not, health-wise, it really does not feel like he's in good shape. It feels as if he is also pushing himself hard right now to try and sort of keep moving forward. There's a real sense of fatigue around him. There's a real sense of his energy being kind of really drained. And everything in Mitch's energy right now is about escaping notice. It's very interesting. He doesn't want to be front and center. He doesn't want to be on the news. He doesn't want to be making statements. He has nothing to say about nothing. Even though he is leader of the Senate, apparently he just doesn't have an opinion about much of frickin' anything that goes on. And even if he was going to have an opinion, well, he couldn't have an opinion because he didn't read the tweet, or he didn't hear this, or he doesn't really know what's going on. It's the most pathetic display of cowardism I think I have ever seen, ever. He is very, very concerned about investigations. He's very concerned about people digging where he doesn't really want them to be digging. Privately, it feels as if he is ratcheting up the pressure on Trump to get this transition done. They're trying to keep him some control over how much damage Trump is going to do in the next little while. But for the most part, he really is missing in action. He really is just not interested. He doesn't want to do the stimulus package. He doesn't really want to confront Trump publicly. He doesn't want anybody looking into his election results, because he's very, very busy doing everything he can to ensure that the Georgia election goes the way he wants it to go. He knows everything he's done, okay? Unlike Trump, who lives in a world of delusion, Mitch McConnell lives in a world of cold, hard truth. And he has learned the power of the word no. And he has taken to using it to his maximum benefit. And it's all about what's good for Mitch. Okay, it has nothing to do with the country. Anybody who is still harboring any notion that he cares, you need to, wake up to reality, because he doesn't care. He is on it's almost as if the election win of Donald Trump brought out his own worst instincts, things that maybe he at least was trying to keep quiet or in the background. Exposure to Donald Trump taught him that he could be as blatant as he wanted, and nobody was going to really stop him. And so, more than anything, he is really scared of sort of justice being served in his direction. He's also not well, okay? And I'm not going to do a health reading, because that really, really is not my strength. But I have to tell you that I have felt for a while now that I would be actually really, really surprised if Mitch McConnell was actually still in office this time next year. In fact, I have to tell you, I'm not even really sure that he's still going to be in office in the summer. I'm not sure what's going on with him health-wise, but there is some precarious health situations going on. I also am concerned, because he really does seem to be not in good shape right now. And although I have not heard that he has tested positive for COVID, it would not surprise me if somewhere in the next while that also surfaced or that happened. And again, I'm not wishing, COVID on anybody, but it feels as if he is really going to be hampered by like almost a continual rolling succession of health issues or health concerns. And there really is something going on with his health in terms of all the bruising. Like, there's stuff going on. And again, Mitch has learned the power of no. He has nothing to say. No, I have no comment. He just does not feel beholden to anybody or anyone to do anything other than what he wants. It really, really is as if, as corrupt and crooked and selfish and power hungry and greedy as he used to be, all of that stuff became supercharged. McConnell 2.0 with his exposure to Trump, and really seeing exactly how Trump was able to manipulate all kinds of things to his advantage. And so in some ways, as crazy as it sounds, Mitch was almost like that eager student at the knee of a master when it came to watching Trump's behavior. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to be able or capable of pulling all of it off, but definitely he learned about just being unmovable. And, he kind of tucks his head down or in, and he ignores anything that is not what he wants, plain and simple. But I'm definitely seeing some ill health. I'm seeing a lot of stress and anxiety, and I'm definitely seeing this fear of judgment, of the law coming after him, of investigations. That is really, really starting to weigh heavy on his mind. And he's another one who is going to struggle and do whatever he can to hold on to power, because he knows that once he is completely out of power, he simply does not have the protection afforded to him by being a United States Senator. The Biden-Harris win, honestly, it was not unexpected for him. He knew it was coming. The writing was on the wall. Unfortunately, he was actually very, very concerned about holding the Senate. And because of the way things sort of ended up, that fear in his own mind appears to be, maybe it was like an overreaction or overblown. And so in some ways, he's actually very cocky. And there's going to be stuff going on behind the scenes, definitely in Georgia, that is really unsavory. You know, he is trying so desperately right now to hang on to what he has, his position, his power, leader of the Senate. But it feels very much as if there's going to be information coming out that it's not going to go so well for him. You've got both the Page of Swords and the Page of Cups sitting here, sort of bracketing the Four of Pentacles. And so and I'm not reading these cards sort of optimistically. It feels very much as if there's going to be new information coming out, new stuff surfacing, and it's not going to put him into a very, very good light. I can also tell you to anticipate or expect that both of those Georgia races, as of right now, I kind of energetically think they're both going to pull it off. Certainly, Reverend Warnock, I think is his name, Raphael Warnock. I think he's going to be in really good shape. Purdue, it's going to matter, in terms of Ossoff, it's going to matter exactly how much mud is dragged up around Purdue and how much sticks on him over the next little while. Warnock's competition is not strong. And so he really can, use that to his advantage. As of right, I think they're both going to end up going to Democrats, but it's not going to be a walk in the park. It is going to take every single effort that every single person has, because on the backside, on the flip side, you've got stuff going on behind the scenes that is as, kind of corrupt as ever been, because now, frankly, they're desperate. And Mitch McConnell is desperate. And Lindsey Graham is, it's Lindsey Graham. And so it really, really feels like things may actually, not work out to his advantage. Now, we're at a place now for Mitch where he is also in that kind of, it's all about the money. In some ways, Mitch feels as if he has gotten everything out of his political position that there is to get. Okay. As leader of the Senate, he was really able to control and manipulate situations and circumstances, kind of like completely in keeping with his own personal thinking. So no stimulus package, let's give everything to big business. Corruption is definitely the way to go. And of course the judges, right? The judges. But in some ways, it feels like he's kind of almost ready to walk away from the Senate. And the only reason he even ran and not offered his retirement, which I think was probably one of his instincts, was because he held out hope that Trump actually could win. And he, of course, was not going to do anything to surrender another 4 years of greedy, gluttonous power and the accumulation of his own personal wealth and status, etc. But as that has not happened, it feels very much as if the White House has sort of lost its charm for him. And now he's really very much focused on what Mitch can get for Mitch, because I'm not kidding. I don't see him around in the months to come in terms of Senate leader. And it just feels like he's entering a really precarious time frame with regards to not only his health, but with regards to risk of exposure. This Ten of Swords does not bode well, given the fact that he is in a place now where all of his thinking and focus is on the partnerships of his life. So, strengthening ties or getting more out of his wife's family, business dealings, that kind of stuff. So in some ways, he's kind of really, really not interested. He just wants to ensure that his dirty little secrets don't come out. And, I think that some of them, unfortunately for him, are going to come out. And I also think that he's not going to be in a position just physically that will enable him to really fight back in a really stronger, powerful way. It really feels as if he's entering a period in some ways where, his lack of compassion, his cruelty, and his greed are in some ways very much going to come back, and he's going to start to get a taste of karma. I kind of, he's in for a really rough ride. I can't say I feel sorry for him, because when you stand by and let, 12 million of your fellow citizens get sick with COVID, and you let more than 250,000 of them perish because it's more important to get an unqualified judge in the Supreme Court, and frankly in a whole bunch of other courts, than actually doing something to help the people that you're supposed to be helping. He kind of, it's not surprising that what is going to come at him is what's going to come at him. Yeah, so that's what I know right now about Mitch McConnell. Now, let's take a look at Lindsey Graham. It's a very curious thing how he went from almost begging and crying for funds, a couple weeks before that election, to that election being called really quickly for him. Something is definitely not on the up and up there. And I don't know. Let's see if we can figure out if that's actually going to be exposed. For some reason, energetically, it feels like he actually just may be able to pull this win off. Because there's a lot of powerful Republicans who are like, listen, we got to shut this down. We don't need these elections being monitored this closely and investigated. It's not going to work out well for us as Republicans, so let's just shut it down. And I do believe that right after the election, I said that Mitch McConnell wants Donald Trump to shut up about not winning the election, because the last thing Mitch McConnell wanted was a whole bunch of people investigating the elections because of his own skeletons. And I think Lindsey Graham is exactly in that same situation. So let's take a look at Lindsey Graham and see what's in store for him, I guess. Tell me about Lindsey Graham. Tell me about Lindsey Graham. Tell me about Lindsey Graham. Okay, I'm going to lay out these cards, and then I'm just going to have to pause the camera for a second, and I will be right back. Hi, I'm back. Sorry about that. Skittles, the little white poodle that we have, is actually scheduled to go in for surgery next week. He's got kidney stones. And so honestly, we have been doing this jumping up and down, taking him outside thing sometimes every 15 minutes for the last few days. And so don't be surprised if this thing keeps getting paused, because he's wandered off, and now at some point he's going to come back and want to get back into the house. So here we go, Lindsey Graham. Yeah. So Lindsey Graham was able to ride to victory, right? This is sort of like in a past position. So he pulled it off. There was enough skullduggery and trickery and almost like black magic and evil doings going on that he actually was able to pull off that win. And for reasons that I'm not quite understanding, it didn't bring him the happiness and joy that he thought it would. He's just been too prepared to do whatever it took, push over whoever he needed to push over, strong arm whoever he needed to strong arm. I mean, honestly, contacting Georgia and asking them to, whatever it was that he wanted them to do, it sounded like he wanted them to just turf out any votes for Biden, frankly. He's crossed the line, and he's really putting himself in jeopardy for investigations, criminal behavior. It's not a good place that he is in, but it feels very much as if his emotions are just so overwrought. He was that person who actually started to believe Trump's brand of Kool-Aid. As crazy as it sounds, it feels very much like in Trump, Lindsey Graham found that person who had so much audacity, so much nerve, so much irreverence. And it feels as if on some kind of wacky level, it spoke to Lindsey Graham, almost as if he aspired to be that way. But because of his personality, because of his life experiences, whatever it is, he was always that sort of weaker sister. He was the wingman, not the main guy, right? He just didn't have what it was that he saw in Trump. And Trump is a poor substitute for John McCain, but that was what and who was available, okay? And the thing is as John McCain's health deteriorated and Lindsey Graham understood that he wasn't going to have him there anymore as sort of that stabilizer, he needed to switch alliances. And that is exactly what he did. And I don't know the details of the McCain-Graham relationship sort of towards the end of John McCain's life, but it feels as if there may have been some friction or some stressors there. And that in and of itself created some emotional turbulence for Graham because, this guy that he admired for years and years and years, who was apparently this great friend, it feels very much as if John McCain became a little disapproving. And, for Lindsey Graham, that was sort of a hard pill to swallow or a real slap in the face. I guess what I want to say is, there's been a lot of focus on kind of how unhinged Trump has been for the last 4 years. But it feels as if we actually should have been paying a little bit more attention to Lindsey Graham, because it feels like he too was becoming unhinged more and more and more as things went on, as people were shaking their head at his behavior and the outrageous things he was saying. It was sort of like Trump was taking up so much oxygen that nobody was paying close enough attention to exactly how out of whack things had gotten with Graham. Hang on. Okay, so I'm not getting real clarity right now about whether or not there are going to be any serious investigations going on connected to the election. I think he's in real trouble with these contacts that he has made to Georgia. And, even, sounding so desperate when he was questioned about it. Oh my God, like the entire country hangs in the balance. It's like, get a grip, buddy. And even though it does, but the balance is that the Democrats need those wins in order to actually, move the Biden-Harris agenda forward. But his days are numbered. I have a feeling he's probably going to serve out the next 2 years, 6 years, right? It's 6 years for senators. He'll probably serve that term. I don't see him running again. He has lost so much respect. He is kind of a lame duck senator now, right? It even going forward, especially because it's more likely that Democrats are going to take the Senate than not. And so he's not going to really be in any sort of positions of power or authority. He's not going to have a lot of clout. And frankly, he has disgraced himself and he has embarrassed himself. And he really doesn't have a lot to offer anybody. It feels almost as if I would not be surprised if he sort of ended up in a very small clique of people who, in their own kind of crazy way, are going to try to keep Trumpism alive. And I got to tell you, I don't see that happening. I know there's a lot of, talk about, Trump running again in 4 years. I don't see it happening. And in fact, if anything, I actually see the GOP really, really having to evaluate who and what they are and what they stand for and try a new approach, because otherwise they're going to end up like a fringe political party that is populated by QAnon believers and the Trumpiest of the Trumpians. And that's not going to hold middle road. And this is the thing. I think that as things unfold over the next couple of years, a lot of that fascination with Trump is really, really going to dry up and diminish as people start to realize and see that there are things that are going to be put forward and that are going to move forward under the Biden-Harris agenda that really is for their betterment. And so it feels as if, in some ways, they may even sort of the shine may come off, except for that core group. And see, this is the problem going forward. A lot of the stuff that was brought to the surface, the racist attitudes, all of those behaviors, a lot of them are going to go back under the rock. As for Lindsey Graham, honestly, it looks as if he's just going to continue to be a little bit erratic. And he's looking for help from others. He's going to be trying to sort of create some sort of a group around him, or join a very small clique. But like I say, it's not going to be a popular clique. In fact, it's going to sort of end up, I think, looking almost like the clique of the delusioned. And he is also, he is about trying to regain his status and his power. There's a lot of money stuff going on with him that I don't understand. I just don't know enough about his financial situation or connections to actually be able to get any clarity about that. But it definitely feels as if Right now, a lot of his focus is on money and partnerships. And, again, does this have to do with raising money for Georgia to try to swing that state? Or is it further down the road in terms of partnerships that he's going to be cultivating to try to financially secure himself, or just put himself in a position of more, power, I guess. So that is our look at Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell. I hope you found that interesting and insightful. I'm going to join the cat in wishing you all a happy Thanksgiving. You're kind of, for the way I understand it, you kind of start on Wednesday and Thursday, and you kind of move into this sort of almost like week-long weekend thing. So for those of you who are celebrating, enjoy. It's going to be very different this year, but let's all take some time to count our blessings, and there are many. Until next time, take care and be well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.